Welcome everyone to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show with myself, Aaron, and Tom. Tonight, it's a very special guest. It's Kolbe Max. How's it going?
Hello, thank you all for having me today.
Absolutely. So, what's the weather like in West Virginia? Right now, it's 64 here in Kentucky, where I'm at. But tomorrow it's going to be back down to 30. So, what's the temperature and how's the weather looking for you for the rest of the week?
Siri, what is the current temperature outside?
We're getting accuracy here right off the bat.
61. It is 61 degrees. Ironically, yesterday it was like 30. That's how West Virginia weather works. It's annoying. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's the same in Kentucky, the whole Appalachian area.
it's just nuts. I've got aunts and uncles in Florida, and they'll come up and they'll just be frigid at 70. Or if it's in Florida and it turns 60, they're automatically turning on their heat and thinking the world's coming to an end. I'm just like, you guys have no idea. It could be 80 here one day, 50 the next, and then 30 the day after that and snowing. So yeah, it's rough sometimes. Let's talk about your wrestling career because that's why you're here, and that's why we've had quite a few people actually reach out to us and say you need to get Kolbe Max on. You need to get Kolbe Max on. So
Really?
here she is. Absolutely. Don't listen. Don't think that you don't have fans. You have fans out there. And one thing that kind of triggered that is because we had one of your running buddies, Miss Judy Hendricks, on the show not too long ago, and so it kind of filtered in with everyone saying, "Well, you got to get Kolbe on now. You got to get Kolbe on now." So I want to start off with that relationship with Judy. Talk to me a little bit about Judy because she's been one of our, I want to say, funner guests that we've had on the show because she was so authentic with who she is. Is that what kind of drew you to her?
Oh, hands down. I mean, whenever me and Judy first met, I'm trying not to call her by her shoot name, but I was I had just turned 17 and she was 18. Yeah, I just turned 17. We met, it was in the middle of COVID, so it was just an outdoor show, and I was running a door. I just started, like, I only had like two matches at the time, and they were both battle royals. And we met at the show, and like we were she was helping me like run the door, like telling fans when it's okay to go and meet Vicky Guerrero, who was also a very lovely person to meet. And just so, I mean, I don't really think we liked each other at first. I think mainly because we were really the only two girls in the area, and we were kind of pinned up against each other in a sense. But I mean, we grew older, we matured, and I think especially how her first two matches were against me, we started tagging, we started working a lot more together, and I think just naturally we just grew together. And then eventually, Chemical X was born.
Now you mentioned your age at the time, and you are someone who also started wrestling at a very young age. But what got you into pro wrestling?
Well, I have two twin brothers. Today is actually their birthday, so I will give them a happy birthday shout out. They watched it growing up. We had multiple neighbors, like they would play the video games and stuff. Of course, I never really knew who anyone's name was. Of course, I knew who John Cena and Randy Orton were, but besides that, like I just have vague memories just growing up. It wasn't really until I was about like 8 or 9 to when I really started like paying attention to it. And I mean, as cliche as it sounds, I just grew up on it. And then I didn't really start seriously considering it to where I got lucky one day where I met my icon, Finn Balor, and I met Bailey as well and multiple others. And I think it's just like that's immediately sparked the desire to pursue that dream because they gave me the best day of their life and I wanted to do the same thing for someone else. So then about a year and a half later, when I was 16, I met my trainer, Rocky Rage, in Dunbar, West Virginia, and then the rest is history.
So at that young age, when you decided that you wanted to be a wrestler, um, how how did it feel when you first started training? Did you ever think, oh, I don't know if this is for me? Or were you like, as soon as you started, because we hear that a lot, that there's different opinions on when you start training and the passion that you have for wrestling and where it takes you.
Just the second I stepped in the ring and I took that first bump, did it suck? Yes, but it's like, this is it. Like, Like, how many people get to say that they actually did this? Like, how many people are actually taking this step to living their dream? So it's just, I mean, there has been times where like I've questioned whether or not if it's worth it, or especially there was one time, or actually my current boyfriend Tyler Osborne, at the time we were still best friends, just friends, and he actually convinced me not to quit. This was summer of 2020.
Yeah, I
So
mean, the sport is very mentally taxing along with physically taxing, especially someone as young as you are. I'm sure the people in your high school were probably thinking that you were kind of crazy for chasing that type of dream. But outside of pro wrestling, was there anything else that kind of interests you as far as like a career path, or once you signed up, this was all it for you?
honestly, college never really interested me. Like, I'm actually dead serious when I say this is a true story. One of my teachers asked what I wanted to do for whenever I graduated high school, and I said I wanted to go to wrestling school and to get a degree in thugonomics. I mean, as funny as that is, like, I was dead serious. Like, it's just, I wanted to be an emo rock god before I wanted to become a wrestler. And I just think being in a classroom was never really for me. And don't get me wrong, I love writing. I love like overanalyzing films and stories and stuff like that. So I feel like if I was never a wrestler, I would have been an author or like an editor or something. But it's just the whole thought of it, the entertainment business has always stuck to me.
I get what you're saying about school, and it's rough because my two kids right now. I got one in high school who's a freshman, and one that's in fourth grade. And I never was the best student growing up. I was very lazy. I consider myself to be more intelligent than what my grades showed. I just wasn't interested in something. But if there was a subject that
I
really
was the same
interested
way.
me, I totally applied myself to that subject. My dad would always be like, "How do you got like an A in history, but you can't, get this math problem right?" Because I could care less about math. And I'm still that way with my kids. I see all this new structure and formats of how they have to do it. And I'm just like, this is the biggest waste of time ever. Just add it. Like, I don't understand drawing a box and a circle and, this new platform of math that they do. And it kind of drives me crazy. So I feel you. And I really believe that our education system, I know it's kind of going off a little bit. We should, if you want to be a doctor, then let those doctors take those doctor classes. Don't worry about certain things. If you want to be a writer, then let's focus on purely writing skills and, those type of classes for those type of people. I live in a farming community. And so there's a lot of kids who love agriculture and love those type of classes. And, you know, 40% of the population here is either going to be a farmer or they're going to go into the coal mines. I mean, that's just the way it is around here. So
Yeah, a lot of the environment of how West Virginia is, 9 times out of 10, like they either kind of go into the law or this is just, I'm not saying this is everybody, but just the people who I graduated, were either going into some form of law or some sort of medical field, whether it be like dentistry, nursing, physical therapy, something like that. And granted, that's because a lot of people I graduated with, who parents were in either the law field or they were either athletes or their parents were doctors or something. So that's why it kind of surprised my mom whenever like I didn't really have an interest in becoming like a physical therapist or anything like that, because so many people who I graduated with who are also athletes, they're pursuing that profession.
it's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late. So why not chase your dreams now? I mean, that's how I kind of look at things now. I mean, I've really chased a lot of dreams since COVID started. And, yeah, it probably would have been simpler if I went ahead and done some schooling and got a few things done earlier on in my life. But I'm glad to say I took the path I took.
I just feel like with wrestling right now, I think maybe a year ago at this time, if I would have been ready for college, there's multiple reasons why at the time of this past summer, why I just chose not to go. But I mean, that's a story for another time. But I just think with wrestling, I think this is just my life. And like, as I said a few minutes ago, just sitting in a classroom isn't my life.
Now, you talked about being really interested into writing and storytelling and things like that. So, does that drive you as far as your character and wanting to do things in wrestling? Do you find yourself wanting to be a booker or wanting to help tell those stories?
I'm definitely open to it one day. I mean, granted, I'm only a year and a half into the business. But I think definitely one day, or if say a promoter said, "Hey, do you want to help me book this match, or do you want to help two green people put together a match?" I'm like, I mean, I'll share my knowledge with, I'll share the knowledge that I know to help with them, but I still think I got a few years until I can actually like book a match, or I could help, or maybe I can suggest like, hey, I think like this person versus this person would be a good match, but regarding what the head promoter wants, I think that should be up to them.
Of course. But, you know, like good storytelling can come from anybody. And if you're someone who studies, you know, even if it's film or TV shows, and you're like, you know, this is a great story that you could put into wrestling. I always find that sort of thing very fascinating. And sometimes you'll see it on TV and you're like, I bet you they're fans of this movie or whatever, because you can kind of see it play out.
That's why I love my favorite match of all time is Bailey versus Sasha 30-minute Iron Woman match, is because I've watched it like 5 or 6 times, and every time I watch it, I pick up on something different. Like they did this because earlier in the match this happened, or the match before this one they did this, or the fans are saying this, and then just something to that effect. And as I've said on previous podcasts before, my favorite types of movies are the types of movies I can watch over and over again, and I have something new to analyze about. That being one of the cases. That's also why I love the first ever women's Royal Rumble, because like you see, because every time I've watched it like 3 times, but every time I watch it, I go back and I'm like, oh, hey, this person's doing this move that they used to do, or these two people were once in a feud and they're rejuvenating it almost. Like in this past Women's Royal Rumble, like Mickey James and Michelle McCool started fighting, and of course that was an allusion to back to like 10 years ago.
Yeah, storytelling in matches is something that sometimes lacks, and I don't know if it's because of the television deals that some of these promotions have, or some of these companies have, and they have to take a commercial break, so therefore they just rush out a 4 minute match, and it doesn't really tell a story. That's why I love going to just like live shows or independent wrestling. I don't even have to know really the story going into the match. But once I'm there, I feel like independent wrestling and even a WWE live house show, I get more of a story told to me.
I definitely know what you mean, and especially I feel like on TV it is sometimes harder to pick it up. Like, and also, and sometimes it's just kind of thrown together. Like, for example, I really like this match, don't get me wrong, like Mira versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. I mean, did Sammy deserve the title? I mean, I think he's a good wrestler, sure. But I mean, there was no build up to it. There wasn't necessarily a story besides like the classic babyface versus heel. That's just my opinion, of course. But I feel like there should have been some sort of build up to it, because like I feel like you'll want to see that person win the title more.
Yeah, I fully understand that. We've discussed that numerous times. You know, tell me why these two are fighting. And Effie was somebody that I talked to not too long ago, and he told me that he's got feuds that have been going on for 5 years. Because every independent promotion he works for, if he wrestles against that guy, he lets it known why that they're fighting each other. And I think, you know, fans care about that no matter what the promotions really think. I need to know why these two are fighting. Yes, sometimes it's just a title match and these are the two top contenders and so they're going to wrestle, and that's perfectly fine. But tell me a story within that match as well.
I understand what you're saying. I can't remember what I was gonna say, but like I think another reason why they don't really last as long, because I feel like fans start to become insatiable after a while. I mean, I love wrestling. I love the wrestling community, but I mean, everybody has to admit we can be, and I mean, I'm even gonna say we because I'm still a wrestling fan, even though I'm a wrestler. It just, I mean, the insatiability can be there at times, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of wrestling fan, I seen you had a Funko Pop of Finn Balor that you were showing. Are you like a huge collector or just a little bit here and there?
I'm not a huge collector. My best guy friend, he got me this for Christmas last year. And besides this, I have like a Daryl Dixon one from The Walking Dead that I got when I was like 14 or 15. But nah, I'm not a collector, unfortunately. I know some people, Dante Williams, if he's someone that you need to talk to regarding Funko Pop collections, he's got I don't know how many.
You're going to segue me to this, and that's fine. You mentioned Daryl Dixon, so you're a Walking Dead fan, huh?
I am. I have been since like 7th grade, I would say, because my mom and dad started watching it. And of course, when I was like in sixth grade, I was kind of like, but like it only took me like 1 or 2 episodes to get immune to it. And so ever since I've been like a fan since ever since 7th grade.
So, what do you think about the progression of the story? Because I feel like it's almost two different. We're just going to talk about The Walking Dead, not Fear the Walking Dead or nothing like that. I almost feel like it's almost two different television shows. Now, like
Oh, definitely.
whenever it was Rick and them, it was just about surviving, the zombie apocalypse. But now we're to this whole, building a complete future type storyline. Are you still invested as you were earlier on, or have you kind of fallen off, but you still got to watch it because you got to figure out how it ends?
I mean, I'm definitely not as excited as I was when I was like 13 or 14, but I still want to see what's going to happen. Like, I feel like that's what, I mean, I've made it this far. Like, why should I stop watching? It's like, do I have that love for it that I had when I was 13 or 14, like I just said? Not necessarily, but I mean, I still enjoy it. I still like having something to look forward to on Sunday nights, besides a pay-per-view once, maybe twice a month. And then, I mean, it just kind of like seeing the progression. And on top of that, for my 16th birthday, my parents got me tickets to this Walker Stalker Con. It was like a Walking Dead convention, and I got to meet multiple of them. So I think another reason why I like watching is because after you kind of meet them, it's kind of like whenever you meet a wrestler, it's like you kind of have like this newfound respect for them, and like you want to appreciate their work more.
We feel that way when we have people on our podcast. If we find out somebody that's been on our podcast is in our area, we try our hardest to get to that show to help support and show our appreciation for that. Real quick, last question on The Walking Dead from me. Negan, are you a fan of Negan or not a fan of Negan? Because I love Negan.
Is that even a question?
I went.
There was like this one Halloween convention thing in Charleston. I was 14 and I dressed as him. Yeah, no, I've loved him. He's especially the one episode where it was just based on him and like his like upbringing. I love that episode.
Yeah, that was one of the best episodes they've ever done. And then this past season, I absolutely loved it. Maggie had asked him, if you were to do it all over again, would you still do the same? And he was like, absolutely not. And it made you think, like, okay, he's got a little heart. And he said, I would have killed all of y'all from the start, and it was just like, that's my guy. That's my guy. Like, I love him.
I mean, pardon my French, but he can be an ass, but like, at least he's honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely a dirtbag, but he's the coolest dirtbag.
Yeah,
I feel like if I was stuck in the zombie apocalypse with someone, it would be him. Would he probably push my buttons a lot? Yes, but he would destroy anybody that came near me.
Yeah, I've always thought, Rick, Daryl, and Negan are my favorite characters on the whole show, and I'm kind of hoping that we finally get this Rick movie that they've been promising us.
They've been saying that since I was like 14.
I know. We need to hurry up and get this so we can kind of see where this kind of goes.
I think they're waiting till like, I feel like they're waiting till like after the series is over to focus on it, because I know that the other Fear of the Walking Dead episode, the third, not Fear the Walking Dead, but like Walking Dead World Beyond is no longer happening. I mean, I saw an episode and to me it really didn't make a whole lot of sense, but because I mean, how could you be that far into the apocalypse and still be like that good with everything? Like, I don't know. But anyways, I mean, I think if they do a Rick movie, I can see them redoing a lot of things. Like, I don't think Carl would, sorry for a spoiler, Carl wouldn't be dead. I think Michonne would still be in the picture. A lot of people would still be in the picture, I think. That or they might go a movie like strictly based on comics.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's really possible to happen.
One person I wanted to talk to you about pro wrestling wise is CM Punk. I know that you're a huge fan of Punk, and so what has your initial thoughts been since he's been brought back to AEW? Are you liking it or not?
I am. I definitely am. It's just that sense of nostalgia is always there, but at the same time, I mean, he was arguably my biggest male influence before Finn Balor. And I just think getting that to have that influence while I'm a wrestler again and getting to kind of just not have to go like literally go into like the archives to find his match was where I can just watch it on TV now. I mean, that's something I really like.
So who are some other people that you enjoy watching to maybe try to learn from?
I learned from, well, Ruby Soho, or a few years ago she was Ruby Riott. Of course Bailey, but she's injured at the moment. Well, now that Lita's on TV, Lita is definitely an influence for me. Rhea Ripley, Shotzi Blackheart, Natalia, multiple people in NXT. Like, I love Elektra Lopez. The reason why I like her so much, she is just such a baddie. She walks in, it just looks so strong, so confident. It's like, she's somebody that I watch and I'm like, I want to be like her. Like, I want to like be able to I just want to be able to like walk through the door with heels on, with a dress on, full face of makeup. But at the same time, because I do that when I'm wrestling, but I still let the nerves get to me sometimes. Or like, I watch her and she's just like, I see you. And I'm like, I see you, sis. I also love Raquel Gonzalez. I feel like she's the same way. And then of course I love Zelina Vega. She's one of my dream opponents, believe it or not.
So you mentioned Zelina's one of your dream opponents. What is it about her that kind of really intrigues you?
Well, whenever she was still managing for Andrade, well, for now known as Andrade El Idolo, but it's kind of the same allure as Elektra Lopez. Like, she was killer on the mic. She always walked through holding her head up high, shoulders up straight, just doesn't care what anybody else thinks, has immediately something to snap back at you with. Absolutely beautiful, by the way. She's absolutely beautiful. I think she definitely stands out. And in a sense, I feel like she can go from being the most loved person in the room to the most hated person in a room if she wants.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of really good talent right now. I think NXT 2.0 is doing a really good job with some of the women.
Yeah, some people are saying that like it's unwatchable or whatever. Like, I honestly enjoy it. I mean, I think, do I miss Black and Gold? Yes, of course I do. But I mean, I think they have a lot of new talent. I mean, that's something I won't argue with. And I mean, their arena setup's beautiful. Also, I mark my words, Indy Hartwell is going to be at the top of the business one day. I will stand by that for a long time. She's talented. She's athletic. She's got the look. She has the crowd behind her. I just think she's great. And she's someone I would love to share the ring with. And I just think that one day, I think she could definitely be a WrestleMania worthy person.
Well, Cody, before we let you go tonight, tell everyone where they can see you next. And if this is your chance to plug your social media or any merchandise that you would like to plug.
Well, on my Facebook, I am just Kolbe Max. Twitter and Instagram, I am the Kolbe Max. And I don't have a pro wrestling tease yet, unfortunately. I I'm not good with technology besides Instagram and Facebook, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. I am taking bookings for the year, if anybody is listening. And on top of that, my next match will be on February, at least right now, unless OVW needs me before then. It will be on February 26th in Harts, West Virginia for All Star Wrestling. And I'll be tagging with Dustin Alexander, who was actually one of the first people I got to share the ring with, against Tilly Starseeker and Jeff Paul.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Best of luck. Of course, if you need anything from us, always let us know. We'll be glad to help out any way that we can. For everyone out there, make sure you are doing what you need to do. Stay safe so you can go out and watch Kolbe wrestle, along with all the great talent across the world, because we need wrestling back. We need small shows back. We need big shows back. We need everything back. So make sure you are doing what y'all need to do and staying safe. For myself and Tom, thank you all for everything that everyone's doing, especially with the sales at Pro Wrestling Tees. Greatly appreciate that as well. Also, if you have not yet picked up a copy of my book, Independent Road to Wrestler's Journey, or Loving Casey Nelson, pick those up at Barnes & Nobles. That will be appreciated as well. And hit the subscribe button. Just hit it. It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. It's the hardest thing in the world for people to do sometimes. Just hit the subscribe button or follow us on our audio platforms. Subscribe over there as well. But we greatly appreciate everyone. For myself and Tom, everyone take care, and we'll see y'all next week.